right, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Snap Material Podcast. I am your host, Jesse Starcher, and that over there is Evan Bevins. Evans, we are getting ready to get into we're going to start a discussion on X-Men Origins of Apocalypse, which was last season. Took place, started March 3rd of 2026. It introduced a new mechanic called Objective, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. I guess our first card we're going to talk about here, Insaba Nur, 4 cost, 5 power. It was the premium pass card. The objective here is you have a full front row at each location. You then transform into Apocalypse Celestials Chosen. And the Celestials Chosen version here is 4 cost, 8 power. Basically bumps our card up 3 power here. But there's an on reveal. Swap the lowest power card in your front row at any location with a card from your deck. So my note here was, since it was the beginning of the season, I saw him a fair amount throughout the season. There was one time where that card swap right at the end beat me. Did not get this card, but definitely saw it used quite a bit. So what was your experience there?
Yeah, I saw him quite a bit. I didn't get the season pass, but I picked him up a few times, like as a created card, whether it was with Arishem, I think, or some other card, maybe with Loki. So it's interesting the way they did it. I think they did go ahead and, didn't they increase his power a little bit? Yeah, he's a 4/6, and he changes to a 4/9. So interesting, noteworthy is the first official objective card, but not even the most compelling version of Apocalypse, I don't think.
Okay. All right.
Not a card that I'm in a hurry to get. Not bad. And there's definitely cards that fill up lanes, get him out there faster, and he certainly would be an interesting fit with some of these other cards that make use of rocks. As you fill them up, I can see where he fits in. It's not a card I'm going to build around. It's more likely I'm building something else, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see him fitting in here.
And you got to think that it's not too normal for Second Dinner to be buffing a card before the season's over. So they must have seen a lack of play or a lack of desirability there at the beginning. So yeah, I'm right there with you. He's more of a utility card that I'd like to see how he does in a deck. And
it'll be a card that I get when I am trying for something else. It's not a card I don't want, but it's not a card I'm seeking out.
Right. I wonder if that attitude's going to change with this next card.
Absolutely.
Isca the Unbeaten, 4 cost, 3 power, and nothing changed with her, right? Like she stayed 4/3, super premium pass card. End of turn, if you're losing this location, double this card's power. Yeah, I left my same note here. I think she was a lane stealer. It was fun to watch people share on Reddit the times that people were able to get over on her by creating a negative amount of power for her. Watch her continue to double and double. I've seen some absurd negative amounts for her. What a great card. I'd like to get a hold of this card too. Just would love to see it and see how well it does. I lost plenty of lanes to her, so very formidable on the other side. How about you?
I tried for her twice and missed out, although not exactly unsuccessful. There's only one new card this season I didn't get.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, eventually I got her out of a pack somehow.
Nice.
So who did I risk picking up? I could have gotten Ramatut, Selene, or Moondragon, I guess. But yeah, that was the one I wanted. I've plugged her into all kinds of decks. I don't know that I've hit on a guaranteed winning formula with her, but it's nice when she doubles, but you want to boost her up. So I put her in a couple decks with
some
like Agony and Hulkbuster.
Right.
I've got her in my new Namora deck, Islands in the Stream,
okay,
2026 remix.
Wow. Man, I bet that one gets insane.
It's nice. I've got her in one deck with Shao Lao the Undying, because that can be really nice. And then it's like, well, your opponent has to be careful how they go about beating her, because you can outscore her, but it's at the end of the turn that her power kicks in, and once you start getting higher, it's hard to take her out.
Right. Has anybody got her into negative power on you?
I don't think so. She has been Shang-Chi'd.
Well, I was going to say...
if I'm not mistaken, it was by the Shang-Chi variant where he has the 10 rings. So I'm like, what the heck happened?
Yeah, even more confused.
And they had both Shang-Chi's in the deck, so they played him right next to the 10 rings, and then Isca explodes, and I'm like, that's not supposed to happen. I think we may have said this before, but it bears repeating. I have no issue with them making variations of the characters, keep the game interesting, but if it's a variant that looks like another version of the character, just give them another free variant or something, and then make their old variant a variant of the new one. I don't know. It's just... So yeah, that one and the Deadpool thing are... I know if it's a First Steps thing because he's wearing a sweater. I don't know why they went so hard with that. Like, it doesn't bother me, but like... Ask me what I remember about Fantastic Four First Steps. First thing's wearing a sweater. So, I don't know. It just seems like an odd choice. Not that they had him wear a sweater, but that it's that big a deal. But maybe it's just me.
I want a helmet variant soon. I'd love to see one.
Isn't there one?
Is there?
I was thinking there should be.
There should be. I did not know if there's a...
If you've got the 4 window for Sue, yeah.
Yep.
So, Isca was the one that I really wanted, and I got her, and she is not disappointed. I've tried her and another card we'll talk about in a little bit in a bunch of decks.
Okay.
I have one with a lot of gold background ones that's just called boosters. That's all mostly people who you want to build them up. So I've got Clea and Frankie Ray Nova, I think.
Wow.
I think in one of the upcoming episodes, we talked a little bit about her, and then that dovetails nicely with another card. So yeah, I've got a few tried in this one. So I've got a few interesting additions.
All right. Very good.
And then there were other cards that I got and haven't really done a lot with, such as
Juggernaut, Horseman of War, 2 cost, 2 power, objective. Have 6 different powers among your other cards in play, and then you get plus 6 power if that's the case. I wrote down here that this might be tough to hit. This was before I could see the objective getting reduced to 5. That never changed. It doesn't seem like too many people have a problem, I guess, hitting that objective.
Yeah.
I may have ran into him and got him once. I can't say that I consider him a threat too much, but how about, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, when my first shot at Isca, I got him. I just put him in a deck today. I don't quite know what to do with him. Now, a 2 cost, 8 power is nice.
That's nice.
I was messing around with the deck today, and I counted how many different power totals I had. And it was like, well, I've got 6 different ones, so if I get every one of them in there, so it seems unlikely, so I'm not going to put him in.
Right.
I did throw him in an Erisham deck, because I figured, who knows what all kinds of stuff you can get into with that. Like I said, 2 cost, 8 power is nothing to sneeze at, but I haven't figured out, maybe there is a better way to do it. Cards that aren't going to have a standard total if you hit them right, like Sunspot or Sage, maybe Wolfsbane. Torch, cards that are going to change. I can see you throwing him in, but like if you're using a move deck or whatever, you're not going to have a slot for him.
Right.
So haven't quite figured out how to do that. Also, don't remember when he was actually a Horseman of War. I should have looked that up.
Shauna, the She-Devil, sounds like somebody maybe that would assist, at least getting some cards out there for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's the key is like, I guess you want to get as many cards out there, and Shauna's not going to really guarantee that they're all going to be... They're 1 cost. Powers may vary, but you may end up with 3 2 power cards, and you're just basically back at the same spot you were in. But
you're not guaranteed to get all the same.
Right.
So that's something. She increases your odds. But yeah, cards where where the value is going to change and could potentially get outside the realm of the more common powers is what you're going to want to try with that. I could see him maybe working with Ezekiel Sims, maybe Batroc.
Okay.
It's not a bad card. It's just not, like I said, Isca and the next card we're going to talk about. I was like, okay, what can I do with these guys? And this Juggernaut is like, well, yeah, he'd be nice, but like, he's not a bad card, but he's not a card you want to plan around.
Right.
Definitely good. So it's more like if I'm looking to fill out a deck and I'm like, oh, I could see where he would be useful. And you got to have cards like that. Not every card can be a centerpiece or whatever. So, and they're still trying the objective thing out. So not bad. I just haven't figured out how to use them.
Right. Okay.
Full potential.
Well, next up, Gambit, Horseman of Death. 3 cost, 3 power. Objective, play 6 total cost of created cards. Randomly destroy up to 4 total cost enemy cards. So I know you had already put this down here, and I cannot remember. This was already nerfed, because it was such a problem.
Yeah, I think it was originally 5 total costs, so they increased it a little bit. But I don't think they nerfed him quick. I don't think I got him until after the nerf. I haven't had any problem.
Okay. All right.
Of course, I also just immediately was like, oh, created cards. So Collectasaur. And everybody else was like, how many times can I get this to
How many Gambit Horseman of Deaths can I create? Yeah, my note was did not foresee the focus on multiples of this card, because apparently that was one of the things that made it extremely overpowered.
Yeah.
And yeah, it caused a problem.
He's one that I've been putting in decks left and right. And I did originally have Prodigy in there. And now the ones that I'm using now, I don't have Prodigy in. But what I started to focus on with him was, like I said, initially I was just like Collectasaur. So I'll have a bunch of created cards, but I wasn't always getting him to fire. And then I thought, well, there's one card. There's one card that really unlocks him and Frankie Ray, which I was already wanting to try. And that is, of course, the person who links them in the comics from that classic West Coast Avengers storyline where Nick Fury recruits Gambit, Horseman of Death, and Frankie Ray Nova, Herald of Galactus, for a top secret mission to steal a comic that never existed.
Yes, indeed.
Because, okay, you need 6 cost worth of created cards, so give me a guy who creates 3 6-cost cards right off the bat.
Right.
And get it in one fell swoop. And then Frankie Ray doubles her power when you play a 6-cost card, so you got one card that sets off both of them.
Right.
And then also that deck for me has Agony, Phastos, Shalao the Undying. I think that's what got my attention with Frankie, was somebody like played Shalao on her and then dropped a 6 and doubled her. Isca's in that deck too. God. Flasher. And then the other way I thought about unlocking Gambit is if I can't drop it all in one, instead of trying to create a bunch of different cards and seeing where they fit, I've got Clea and Marvel Boy in there. So just keep dropping Flames of the Faltine.
Right. Flames of the Flatline.
So, and then the other, just today when I tossed Juggernaut in that Arishem deck, I'm like, okay, well, let's put Gambit, Horseman of Death in an Arishem deck where you've got tons of created cards, and you also have Loki, so then your whole deck becomes created cards.
Right.
To me, it became, okay, how do you trigger him with the least amount of work? Like, because he's good, but if you only have one, he's only going to take out 4 cost of enemy cards. So sometimes that can be big, other times not. So you don't want it to be the whole focus. So how can he fire just in the natural course of your deck? Yeah, I've put him in a bunch of decks. And if we were to revisit the list we did a while back of cards we like better in Snap than in the comics, he might take the top spot. Because I read that story, and still to this day, it's more like, oh yeah, Gambit was a horseman for 5 minutes. Like, it didn't work with his whatever powers he got. I seem to remember it had something to do with mucus.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
But it like had to do with restricting someone's breathing, and I'm like, well, yeah, because kinetic energy and making things explode. That's totally. I don't remember details of that story clearly. It's not like, hey, one time Gambit was, it's like, oh yeah, and one time he was like, do we need a dark chapter in Gambit's life at this point? You remember he caused the mutant massacre, which is still debatable. I probably could have gone like, hey guys, the tunnels are that way. But Gambit already had a deep dark secret. So and now it's like, oh, and Apocalypse messed with him, and okay, well that happens to everybody. It happened to Archangel. Yeah. Everybody does it. It feels like an unnecessary chapter in Gambit's history.
Right. Right.
On the other hand, now Gambit's been around for 30 some years, so you got to keep doing things. But suffice to say, I like this card much more than I ever cared about the storyline in the comics. And the other thing is, unlike original Recipe Gambit, who is still dangerous, and I haven't tried putting them both in a deck. Yeah, that could be interesting. But he doesn't cost you anything to use. Now, granted, there's cards that work great with the original Gambit where you don't actually lose anything and you want him to toss them. Right. But this Gambit can have a similar effect without a downside.
True. That's true.
So,
well,
I got him in a seasonal pack, and I can't remember if he was the first or second one I got, but I got him in the same pack as the next card.
The next card being Caliban, Horseman of Pestilence, 3 cost, 4 power, objective, have 3 cards that are 4 cost or higher in play, afflict the highest cost enemy card with -7 power. I don't think I've seen this card hardly at all. Rare. I don't recall running into it. So you ended up with this one?
Yeah, I threw him in my Savage Sword of Juggernaut deck just because that has a bunch of higher cost cards. I can't quite figure out why he doesn't have more staying power. He's not... It's still easier to use Omega Sentinel. So all you have to do is player and then activator.
Right.
I don't know. Depending on how you play it, I guess it's hard to have him come in as a surprise card unless it's on a turn 7. Omega Sentinel, they know it's coming. Mm-hmm. The only question is, when are you going to activate it and they can stop her? It's possible to stop her or temper what's coming. Caliban, if you've got a turn 7 or if you got Zabu to get a 4 cost out on turn 3, you could drop him in at the end. It seems like he could be a difference maker. And we can't just say that it's because, nobody knows who Caliban is. I would put money on more people knowing who Caliban is than who Omega Sentinel.
Yeah.
So it feels like he should be a little more useful. And I'm saying this as someone who barely tossed him in a deck and just forget about it. So he feels like he should be more useful than he is, but that's me saying it separate from the fact that I haven't used him hardly at all.
Like you said, if you drop him there at the end and then you got a Mega Sentinel, that's 14 coming off the top. So that's rough. All right, well, next one is Selene, Horseman of Famine, 4 cost, 4 power, objective, have 3 cards with no abilities in play, steal 5 power from an enemy card here. I don't think I saw this one at all. I do not recall this one.
I saw her once or twice. 3 cards with no abilities. So immediately I thought of Patriot, although again, with the rocks, she works well with them. I can see her being useful, but I don't know, just not very exciting. And I don't think Selene is anybody's favorite villain.
Yeah.
She might not even be the most popular Black Queen of the Hellfire Club.
I'm waging probably correct.
Clearly, she's behind Emma Frost in everyone's memory and estimation. But people might be more like, hey, remember when Jean Grey was Black Queen for 5 minutes before she became Dark Phoenix? She's a character that, she's been around a while. People know who she is, but she's always I don't know. I know she's been a threat, but just not a very exciting character. And then, aside from the fact that she does tie in with the rocks, well, she's stealing power, so it's not just negative power. So she isn't quite in the same lane as Caliban. But I don't know. The effect... It's not bad, but doesn't excite me too much, and the character I don't think excites people, and I didn't see her a lot.
That's a 10-point swing.
It's true.
That's 5 coming from them, and you going up 5, which is nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I saw her at all. It is pretty deck specific too. You got to have no abilities, so the rocks, just like you said, are a great play. I
think we talked about last time, if the High Evolutionaries souped them up, they no longer have abilities, so they don't get boosted by Patriot.
Right.
So, yeah, not bad, but not very exciting.
And yeah, at least as far as I know.
It felt to me like this season was kind of some extremes. Like there's some interesting ways they work together, but to me, Gambit and Isca were the cards to get.
Mm-hmm.
And the other ones were like not bad, but just didn't do much for me. Although the next one made me nervous.
Well,
I was not as excited about it as you were.
Rama Tut, 4 cost, 5 power, on reveal. Use 3 on reveals from cards released before Rama Tut's time. Yeah, I was extremely excited about getting this, and a lot of that is, as always, the chaos factor that was going to be present with Rama Tut. I'll cut right to the chase. It's too random to really feel like you got an advantage at all. Mm-hmm. It really is too random. So I threw him in a deck where it was just like, I'm going to do this all the time. All right, so I got Absorbing Man in there. So if I play him, I'll play Absorbing Man next. I got Wong in there, so we'll just do it twice. So now we got 6 on reveals happening. But I saw like 2 games back to back. Rama Tut comes out and then Destroyer ends up happening. Mm-hmm. So it is a wild time when you put Rama Tut out there. There are some videos on Reddit of that card in action and people getting extremely lucky and getting some great on reveals to occur. But yeah, sometimes it's just bad news all around. You could sit there and get buffed the first 2 on reveals and then Destroyer occurs and you're just like, well, that kind of makes things pretty bad. So yeah. I went into this really excited and I came out going like, oh man, I really don't know. It's just essentially, if I want to play a fun chaos deck, then it's going in there.
Yeah.
It's not turning the game on its end. It's just one of those few cards that are out there that have a really random, potentially fun upside to it.
I've seen him in action a lot today because Camartage was the featured location, and he's ended up in my hand quite a few times. I didn't get him, but I know at least some of it was with an Ereshim deck. And so, yeah, you've got all kinds of crazy stuff going on off the main. You're right. The chaos factor is fun, but it's hard to predict. But my main gripe with it is sometimes I can't even tell what he does.
Right.
Well, it all happens so quick and it's not clear. Like even sometimes we've talked about this. I'll be playing a game and half paying attention to something else. And usually I can go back and reconstruct what happened. Like, oh, they played this card. Like sometimes I'm watching with my full attention and I'm like, was that 3 on reveals? What happened there? Click
on the card. Okay. After it happens, I learned this probably about 2 or 3 days into using him. Somebody had showed I want to say it was something on Reddit, but yeah, you click on the card and you can swipe and see all 3 abilities that were used. It basically just shows the card. So you can find out what it was after it happens.
Yeah, it's a little hard to follow, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't fun. It's just not like I don't know what strategy you can do around it, except although it's kind of like what I said about Nightmare at first, and I was proven wrong about Nightmare, that there are specific cards that you want to get rid of the ability and you just hope something good comes of it. So it's a fun card. It's neat. I'm glad it exists, but I was not chomping at the bit to get it.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, rock on.
Rock on. Specifically, Sandstorm, 2 cost. Well, this is a skill card, 2 cost. Got it from Team Clash. On reveal is add 2 rocks to your hand. Give them +1 power for each of your front row characters. Definitely got this. Did the old trick of paying the 800 gold, which, by the way, the gold squeeze is currently occurring to me. I think I'm down under, for the first time in a long time, under 800 gold. So I can't, for a few there, I was under 700 gold. I can't go and can't even afford a variant now. I was getting variants to fill albums. And, of course, I spent 800 to get the premium pass, or premium whatever, to get through Team Clash and get the card pretty immediately. And I did so, and I think I did the same for the next card as well. Talking about the card, I like the card. I've used it quite a bit. I usually use it in concert with the next card as well.
Oh, yeah.
Just to get what I can out there. But it's nice. You can have yourself a 1 cost up to 6. Is that what it is? Up to 6 power. Add 2 rocks to your hand, +1 power for each of your front row characters. So you could have 2 6s in your hand. What I found, though, is that a lot of times by the time I'm getting those cards in my hand, the next play, I want to play something else, and it's late in the game, and I have to make a choice as to whether, okay, am I going to play this one card that I really should play and then 2 1/6s? I may not have the room for it either. Sometimes I am running out of room on these things. So I like the card. I think it's fun. It's okay. It's good in just about any deck you could have. 1/6s are not anything to sneeze at, and you're getting 2 of them if you play your cards right. So even 1/5s, you know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, I like the card. Thought it was fun. What about you?
Yeah, there's a lot of cards that work well together. Once I got this and the next card, I quickly made a deck I called Avalanche just to get not only rocks out there, but Patriots in it to boost them up even further. And then like Rhino, Debris, Cull Obsidian, since you're going to, in theory, have some 1 costs out there. Terex, because he can put rocks in either deck.
Rocks.
And then if you got all these created cards out there, Mockingbird, makes sense to put Gambit in there, but I didn't try that. White Tiger. Oh, no, it wouldn't work because, well, yeah, it would because they only count when you play them with Gambit. Like Shanna the She-Devil does nothing for Gambit in the game. Gambit would have to go to the Xavier School HR if he was ever on an adventure with Shanna the She-Devil.
There is a possibility he's made it to the Savage Lands before, and he's given her the side eye. Jim Lee probably drew that issue.
Yeah. But so I like the fact that they're doing stuff with rocks. I made that deck, but I deleted it because after the novelty wore off, I didn't really do much with it.
Right.
So I may try it again. Like I said, it would work with Gambit because you're putting down a lot of those rocks. I think I had Strange Supreme in it at one point, but then I was like, wait a minute, if he's eating all the rocks, then why am I boosting the rocks? So I'm not saying it's bad, just I like the idea of turning the rock from a punchline into something useful, but I didn't get very far with it yet.
Okay. Then next up, Ozymandias. 5 cost, 9 power, our high voltage overdrive prize. Ongoing, your rocks have +3 power. So I ended up with this card for sure before the event ended. Very helpful alongside Sandstorm, alongside Debris. The deck that I have going on right now involves Tau Mandala. And throwing Ozymandias out there and then Tau Mandala on the last.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that gives all. I was doing really well because I think at that point I essentially had some 9 power rocks that were out there.
Nice.
So it was going decent.
Patriot and Mystique in there too, just out of curiosity?
I think I might have. I had Onslaught. I had Onslaught in there to double it. I don't think I had Patriot.
Nice.
Don't think I had Mystique either, which is probably an opportunity. There might be some kind of opportunity for that. But that was I liked Ozymandias, and I feel like I was able to make him work a little bit. So your experience on that one?
I think I covered it a lot without talking about him directly. Last time I made that one deck, and it may just be that I didn't stick with it long enough, or that it wasn't a shiny enough toy for me, or that Ozymandias, I don't know. Ozymandias is just this weird dude.
He is.
Like, is he powerful? Is he not? I don't know.
I have a few issues with him in it, like they're late 90s cable issues.
I associate him with Onslaught, even though he was more of a
Apocalypse.
He's more so that may be wrong because I think he showed up around the time of Onslaught, but yeah, he's more connected to Apocalypse himself. And like I said, a lot of these this season go together really well. You could probably make an interesting deck just centered on the cards from this season primarily. So yeah, with it's a good synergy. That's the word that they don't always have. I don't know. Juggernaut probably not as useful there, but who's our Horseman of War in the upcoming season? Maybe he's a better fit.
I believe that's going to end up being Wolverine. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I like it. Like I said, maybe I just gave up too quickly, or was like, okay, I could keep working on these rocks, or I could find yet another deck to put Isca and or Gambit in. So,
Ozymandias' first appearance, March of 1996, Uncanny X-Men number 332, created by Scott Lobdell and Joe Mad.
Yep. Right, leading into Onslaught.
Yeah.
I think he was introduced in the run up to Onslaught, but he was more connected to, like you said, Apocalypse.
All right. Well, so there's our characters. Let's get into locations. And I'm starting to realize that when an event's going on, unless the location is like awesome, I'm not veering away from the event. So I don't get the opportunity to play when the locations are going on too much. We had Pyramid of Ramatut, end of turn, add a 3-power rock to your hand. And if you have none there, that's if you have none there. So I use my Bastion Bro deck for this one. With 3-power rocks, it's perfect. There's no reason not to have a 3-power rock in there and Cerebro to kind of boost everything up. So I was doing that for a little bit. It was a fun location, that one that was featured. So any thoughts on Pyramid of Ramatut?
I used my rock deck, my Avalanche deck that day. Yeah, and let's see, that one confused me a little bit. I don't think it was a problem with them. I think it was just me, but I'm blanking out. But it was just something like I expected it. Actually, I think what happened is I got it and the next location mixed up. I'm like, oh yeah, this is that location from that season. Where's my highest cost card of my deck? Oh no, wait, it's a rock. Okay, so yeah, it was all on me. No problem there. But yeah, I figured, well, as long as I'm getting rocks and boosting them up, let's go with the rock and all stars here. Yep.
All right. Well, next location was Chronosphere Sphinx. Copy the highest cost card in your deck into your hand. Yeah, I wrote down I tried an Eson deck and I had mixed results. Like, it was kind of nice to be able to get Eson out there and then have it just kind of laying them all out there. I think the whole point of me doing that, I would have at the end of it, I was going to have Tri-Sentinel to kind of distribute the power because it would all go into one big lane or something like that. But
you mean the Living Tribunal?
That's what I meant with Tri-Sentinel. Is there a Tri-Sentinel?
Give it a year. Yeah. That was the big thing somehow that Spider-Man got cosmic powers to stop. I don't even begin to understand. But yeah, there was a Tri-Sentinel.
No, and I'm talking about, like, do they have a Tri-Sentinel card? They do not.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Give it time. Give it a year or two.
Living Tribunal, yes. Give it a year. But anyway, yeah, I wrote down here mixed results. Wasn't finding anything that was like really, really outstanding. So any thoughts on Chronosphere Sphinx?
I used that card it created to trigger Gambit Horseman of Death recently when my regular plan went awry. But yeah, I didn't do anything special for it. But yeah, who doesn't want to have their highest cost card twice?
Can't complain. Well, there it is. That's our discussion on last season. Thanks a lot for joining us. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the next installment of Snap Material.